Hello and welcome to Billy's Craft Room. In today's film, I'm going to show you how to spice up your die cuts using colour. For this project, you'll need a die cut. This particular one I cut using a slice machine and the Vintage Findings design card, but there are plenty of other dies available on the market which can be used with Cuttlebug or similar machines. Cut out one of your favourites, or you could use a pre-bought shape. I'll also be using Ranger Adirondack dye-based ink in denim. This is a mini mister. I filled it with 1 dropper's worth of weathered wood re-inker and filled it up with water. I'll also be using Dusty Concord Distress ink, applied with cut and dry foam. I've mounted this onto a wooden block to make it easier to apply. A text-based stamp, and I'm working on a non-stick craft sheet. Because I'm working with a spray ink, I'm protecting my surface not only with a non-stick craft sheet, but also with a plastic mat. Whenever you spray ink, it has a tendency to go much further than you first expected. It's a good idea to spray off the die cut before you spray onto it, just to make sure the mist is working properly. You'll get a different spray pattern depending whether you hold the spray closer or further away from the die. The closer you hold it to the die cut, the larger the droplets, but you'll get a finer mist if you leave it further away. You now need to set this aside to dry, or you could speed the process using a heat gun. Don't forget to wipe your mat down before you continue. Because I'm going to be using a large stamp, I'm going to place a sheet of funky foam underneath my craft sheet. This helps me get a much clearer image. Here's how the die cut looked after being sprayed and dried. I think it looks really nice like this, but I'm going to add some more texture using a text stamp. I've got the denim dye-based ink by Ranger. Ink up your stamp. I'm using a swiping motion as I find this gives much better ink coverage. One thing to be careful of if you are using a text stamp for this is to make sure your text is the right way up. I have done this before and made the stamp upside down. Doesn't look so good. Hover over your stamp and press down. Now, because I like a distressed look, if you don't get a perfect stamped image, that's okay. Here's how it looks so far. Once again, you need to set this aside to dry, or you could speed the process using a heat tool. Now the die cut has completely dried, I'm going to add some extra dimension using Distress ink. Dab onto the ink pad to pick up some colour, and then dab off onto the craft sheet. I've taken out the funky foam that was underneath it earlier. I'm going to apply the ink using a circular motion. If you have a particularly intricate die cut like this, be careful to support it as you're inking, as once the ink saturates the card, it could leave it vulnerable to tearing. When you first start off, it would be a good idea to use quite a chunky or bold die cut while you practice the technique. I cut this particular die out of 220 GSM cardstock, so it's holding up quite well. But go steady if you're using a lighter weight card. Another way to apply the ink and to build up colour is to hold the die cut in your hand and apply it like this. This is also a good way of getting into intricate areas as well. Continue to apply the ink until you have an effect that you like. And here's how it looks. Once again, you need to set this aside to dry, or you could speed the process using a heat tool. This was the original die cut, and here it is once coloured. Any of the layers will work well by themselves, but in combination they really add impact. You could also add a touch of mica powder to your spray to add extra glitz. If you find your die cut does tear as you're applying the ink, don't abandon it. All you need to do on a design like this is simply cut the bird from the branch. You've still got a perfectly nice die cut. Hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, do leave me a comment. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye bye. For more inspiration, please visit the blog on www.billiescraftroom.co.uk.